Welcome to Quick 3D Tutorials. In this video we're going to show you how to set up references images in Zbrush. So the first method is to creating image plane. First we need to select the basic shape we want. In this case I just selecting a cube. Go to the edit mode and make sure you don't have turned the perspective on. Then we're going to go to the text or dog this to the side, and the material we don't need it, so I'm just going to removing it from this. Then we are ready to set up our images. In the text or image plane we have references view. Click on the front and it's going to snap to the position, back, front, and so on. So now I want to load my front references images, so I'm going to click on this, go over the load image, go to the area you have saving your image, and you have three options: PSD, JPEG, and TIFF file can only be loaded in. So I need to select my TIFF file, which is a front, and just opening it. So as you can see, the image size is very big. To make this smaller, we need to work by this slider. So now we want it to be like instead of 100%, we have it 16%. But now we need to select which image it was. In this case it was this, so I need to select it and load the image once again. If you want to loading another image, you need to select the blank area and then go to the load image. So now you can loading another image if you want to. If you want to make any adjustment for this image like fill bit, or you can selecting it, make anti-alias, let's see, fill bit over and everything, and then come back and load this image again. Now we are ready to change our material to something called a skin shader, and we have also another option which is the model transparency or opacity. So as you can see, as lower, I can now see through my image. When you are happy by this, but let's say we want also to moving it to the position, holding the, you can move it by this one or holding the Alt and right mouse. As you holding it, you're going to snapping it to the position do you want. So let's see that is a good position. When you are happy by this, you can basically lock the image and your model in this view. To do this, you have something called store the view. So now if I rotating my model and I want simply go back to the position, same position, maybe I'm going to select the red one. Maybe it can be seen. Okay, anyway, so if I want to come back to my original position, the only thing I need to do, double click or one click on the front, and as you can see, is going to be to the front once again. And of course, remember, perspective give you another view. So when you have like these car and other things, you need to turn the perspective off. Now I want to load my second image, which is the left. So you need to click on the left side, the same method, load. Excuse me, now we have selecting this image, so I'm going to select the empty area and load the image. Now I can selecting my left side. So now you can see we have this one. So the size, we think the size is okay. Now I need to zoom it out a bit and snapping it to this position. And when you are happy by this, you can, of course, opacity of this model is same. We can just, when we are in the left, store the view, and now we have locking it to the position. So if I want to go to the front, I click on the front, go to the left, I'm going to the left. So that is a two-way to do this. So now we have two options to go back and forth to the different references. The other thing I will talking about is if I just grabbing, let's see, my move tool, this one, and make sure you have make polymesh 3D, otherwise it will not work. When I might excuse me, I'm going to click on the front view. If you are rotating something wrong, you can just one click on the front view and it will go back to it. And now I want to move this area to this side and this to this side and so on. You can see we're getting a black mask or black shadow or whatever it is, and you can just click on the image itself and it's going to be remove it. So when you working by this and click on this and it's going to remove this. So now I want to go to the left side, the same thing. You can moving something and click on this area on the image itself or the canvas and it will clean this black shadow. So let's say you don't want to see your left images. To clean this, simple Control N will clean this. So you can basically work on your sculpting in this view. But if you can see you have not the right color information, that can be because you have opacity. So back to the 100%, it will give you the opacity you want. So now if you want to load it once again the left, one click on it and you are ready to go. And to the front, the same thing, opacity again, you can just playing by this. And now it is your image plane has been setting. So the other thing is when you're going to file and save this, save as or save it, basically you're going to save all the images you have putting in the front and left, right and back if you have, and everything is going to be in one file. So that was the first way to creating the references images. The next one is basically we can use something called see through the image. So the next way to loading references images is going to be see through. First of all, I'm going just to selecting basic shape, go to the edit, make polymesh 3D, changing to the move brush. So now simple, I'm going to make finding my image. So it can be from internet, your Windows, anything. So let's see that is my references. So I'm going back to the Zbrush, go over there and just making it like this. And at the same time, I have my ZBrush. I can now just sculpting this into my references images. Of course, I can just slide a little bit like so. So you can see now we have very fast way to loading the references images we want. So that is another way to loading references images. So the next way to loading the references images is to using the grid floor. To do this, first of all, we're going to selecting a basic shape, go to the edit, go to the make polymesh 3D, and I'm going to just make it madcap gray. So now we are ready to loading the references images. Go to the texture, import, and you need to find your images, holding the control and selecting the images you want and simply click open. And inside the texture you can see we have loading the images. Now we're going to the draw. We just dock this to the side. We have an option called floor. You can click it over here or here, it is same. And from here I'm going to the perspective. So now I want to add my front view or the front image. So in the section front back, you can put the front and back, up and down, and right and left and right, and so on. So we're going to the front. We have map 1, which is for front. We're going to select the front image. And we're going to the map 2, which is the back, and we're going to select the back image. So now when you see this one is the front view, and when I'm going back, that is the back view. Of course, if you have not any back, is going to just showing the front view of this image. Next, we're going to the side, and we have an option over left and right. We're going to select this side. So as you can see, now we're having it in wrong direction. Simply go to the fill to flip it over. We have other options like adjust and invert and also rotation. And we have also to scale and just to put it to number 1. And we have also we can move it up and down, left to side. So just putting it back to the default one. So the next things we want to show you is about the transparency. Basically, we have an option called fill. So when I putting the fill to the tree, I can now see through my object or mesh. We can controlling the how much through this object I can see by this slider, as you can see. And we have another one just for how much of the image references I want to see. So these two is designed for this. The next things is when you are on the front and back, we have something called P-line. And P-line is, I don't know if you can see this red and blue line called P-line. If I don't want it for the front, simply I can just click on it and it's going to be high. If you want it, click on it and it is back. The other way we can controlling it under the modify section, we have something called P-line opacity. So we can just turn it to 0 so we don't have any P-line. So that was just about this P-line also. So now anytime you can of course shift between perspective and the front view of it if you like, and you can also click on this anytime to hide this and click it back again is going to show you this. So that was a way to loading references images by the grid. So the last method inside Zbrush to adding references images is the Spotlight. So first of all, we're going to select the sphere, go to the edit mode, make polymesh 3D, selecting the skin shader or matte cap, and going to the color and fill the object. So now we are basically ready to import our texture. Going to the texture, import, go to the location you have your images. I selecting the first one and holding Control, selecting the second one and open. So now over here we have importing these two images. We need to select the first one and click on the Add Spotlight. And you can just hide the lightbox from here or from here. To adding the second one, the same things, selecting it and the spotlight and just hide them. So if we want to moving one of these images, let's see this one, we need basically click on it and now we can move this over this side. If I want to move the second, I need to click on it and I can moving it over there. The circle, the orange circle, if I grabbing this, I now can moving the spotlight tools over other area. So if you want to scaling this one, you can use the scale option. And if you want to rotate, you can rotating it. And if you want to change the pivot of this, of course, you're going to selecting it to central, and now you can rotating it in the central. And we have also another option, it's calling opacity, so that is for the opacity of the image. If you want to make the same thing for all, basically you need to click on the empty area, which is the canvas, black canvas, and now basically I can move them, I can scale them, and I can do all these tools inside it. So if I want to be these images to be same size, I need to click again outside of this and click on this, and it's going to be same size. Now the second thing is, if I just click on this and move the image over here and just scaling it a bit and just move this one over this area, we have an option to painting on the image or highlight something. So the first is if I just selecting any color, go to the paint mode and just click on the S and change my brush size a little bit smaller. I can now go ahead and painting over it. Of course, is transparency of the image, excuse me, it is not completely white like this. Go to the paint mode or the paint, make sure they are painting. By this way I can basically paint this as the white. If I want to select any color, not the black color, that is not black, it looked like black but it is not completely black, I can also highlighting by the black color. But the second thing is if I click on it and choosing a really black color, which is this one, make sure it is 000, all these, and paint on this, you can see we getting a transparency effect. So it can also be helpful to only have your character and not all these images. So basically the other way we can do this, when we are in the paint mode, we can holding Control and just left mouse and we can just drag over this image down or up, same time we holding it. You can see now we can get this transparency background. If we don't like this and we want to come back to the original image, you can just click on this, same time you're clicking you need to click once again and just click the second one and rotate this one back. So again, we can do this also over here. We're going to the paint mode, it was, and holding Control, excuse me, it is, so I need to select the paint mode, excuse me, and just selecting the black one, which I have already created, holding the Control and left mouse drag. So now we're having the transparency background. To restore this, one click on this and second time you need to rotate this like this way and you are back to the default image. So the second thing is basically, let's say I want to, first of all I just click on this and moving it over there, and now I want to sculpting on this image or on my sphere. Basically you need to click on the Z and you can see I can basically, let me change the brush size. I cannot do anything, but before I showing you how you can fix this, there are another thing you need to know about the Spotlight. If I just click on the Z to come back to the Spotlight, we have something called let me change it over here, maybe is calling the Spotlight radius. If I change the radius, that means if I just click now Z again, is only showing the image where my mouse or my brush is. So if it happened, you cannot using it as references images. So make sure click on the Z and make sure your radius Spotlight radius is 0. And when you're clicking on the Z, you will see the image overall. So to fixing this one, you need to go to the brush, go over the samples. So you have something called a Spotlight project. You just turn this off and now I can just sculpting on this. And I can just undo and I can just sculpting on this. If you don't want to see the references images, Shift Z is going to hide them. So I can just work with my sphere. Okay. And Shift Z, it will show it again. If you want to have the tool, click on the Z and you have your tool. Now I can just select and use whatsoever I want.